Hey, what's up guys, my name is Charlie. Today we're going to be doing some more requested reaction videos, and this video is requested by Andrew the Old School Gamer, and it's going to be the story of Super Mario Bros. 2, gaming historian. Of course, Super Mario Bros. 2. Christ, I remember that game. That was definitely for the NES. I also remember wasn't it for the Wii as well? Or was it for Nintendo 3DS or something like that? I can't remember, but it was definitely on another platform. But yeah, it was for the NES and another platform as well. Can't remember if it was the Wii or the Nintendo 3DS or something. Or it could have been all three, who knows. But let's check out the video, shall we? Let's go.
Back in 1988, Nintendo of America released the highly anticipated follow-up to Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 2. And people loved it. Still do, actually. But the game
I
was
remember
quite
Super Mario
different from
3.
the first installment. You were no longer stomping on Goombas and Koopas, but instead picking vegetables out of the ground and throwing them at
Angry
enemies.
video game nerd episode.
Bowser, the main villain from the first game, was replaced with a giant toad named Wart. But hey,
Wow.
developers like to try
creative
new
name.
ideas. Maybe Nintendo just wanted to change things up a bit. No big deal. But then Super Mario Bros. 3 came out.
Oh, Super
Bowser was back.
Mario Bros.
So was all
3.
the Goomba and Koopa stomping. This made Super Mario Bros. 2
Fucking
even more
sixes
of a
all over the
mystery.
place.
Why
This
was
game
it
was
so
created by
different?
Satan.
It wasn't until several years later that people would discover the truth about the game. This is the story of Super Mario Bros. 2.
Okay. Oh, that music's sweet. Part 1. Oh, Jesus. 4 super players.
In order to understand Super Mario Bros.
There's
2,
magic
we
mushrooms.
first have to look at the original game,
Smiling away.
Super Mario Bros. Released in 1985,
Don't do drugs,
the
kids.
game
This is
was
what
a
happens.
smash hit.
You do,
In Japan
you eat
alone,
magic mushrooms. This
6.8
is what
million
happens.
copies were sold. Worldwide, around 40 million copies. The best-selling book in Japan at the end of 1985 was a strategy guide on how to beat the game.
Jesus.
Seeing the success, Nintendo quickly worked on ports of the game, as well as special versions. One of these titles was an arcade game, Versus Super Mario Bros. Versus Super Mario Bros. Was similar to the original, but added some new, more difficult stages in order to gobble up quarters from gamers.
Of course.
Development was
It's all
handled
about
by
the money.
Nintendo's Research and Development 4, the same team that created the original Super Mario Bros. The manager was Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto.
Of course.
While R&D 4 designed new levels, they noticed how much fun the new challenges made the game.
We had to redesign some levels to make them a little more difficult. We ran some tests with the team and we couldn't stop playing. When I realized this, I said to myself, gifted players who completed Super Mario with ease should find this fun. This is how the development of Super Mario Bros. 2 started. Shigeru Miyamoto.
Super Mario Bros. 2 would be developed for Nintendo's brand new device,
Christ.
the Famicom Disk System.
The Famicom.
Released in February of 1986 and only in Japan,
Yeah.
the disk
It was
system
only released
played
in
games
Japan.
made on proprietary, double-sided discs. They were cheaper to make
I mean,
than
you can get it
cartridges
now on eBay.
and could hold more data. Nintendo hoped that all their
Jesus.
future big releases would be dedicated to the disk system. That included Legend of Zelda, Metroid, and of course, Super Mario Bros. 2. The original game was a major success. Releasing a sequel was a no-brainer and would help drive sales of the disk system.
Of course.
R&D 4 would work on the sequel, but were given
And
a
it's great
small
promotion
time
for
frame
the
to complete
NES.
the game. Miyamoto, who had just become a father and was simultaneously working on the upcoming Legend of Zelda game, took a step back in his role. Director duties were handed over to Takashi Tezuka, a young designer who helped with the original Super Mario Bros. Miyamoto did, however, find some time to tinker with levels. Said Miyamoto, "Designing challenging levels really brought out the best in me." Using the same game engine, as well as a few levels from Versus Super Mario Bros., Tezuka and his team were able to finish the game in
The
4
clouds
months.
are just smiling
Less
away.
than a year after the original game's release, Japan was given the first official sequel, Super Mario Bros. 2, on the Famicom Disk System. Well, here it is, the Japanese Super Mario Bros. 2. Let's boot it up and see what it has to offer.
Christ, this is...
The first thing you'll notice right away is there's no longer a two-player option. You can either play the game as Mario or Luigi. Unlike the original game though, each plumber has their own unique traits. Luigi can jump really high, but has really poor traction,
a secret thing where you
which
can
makes it
break
seem
the
almost
blocks
like
up
he's
there.
on ice. Mario can't jump as high, but he has better traction. This was the first game to give Luigi his characteristics. In most games since, he is given the ability to jump higher than his brother. The poison mushroom in the first level lets you know right away that this game isn't messing around. Super Mario Bros. 2 is hard. Very hard. The level designs seem almost deliberately cruel. Some levels force you to find secrets in order to advance, else you just stare off into an endless pit. There are warp zones to help you advance, but even these can trick you. I was able to find a warp zone in World 3 that would only send me back to World 1. New enemies appear too. Red piranha plants pop out of pipes quickly and won't stop even if you are close by. Later stages feature Hammer Brothers that keep moving towards you. The game even adds wind in some areas,
they're just so
making
happy.
jumps longer
Just chilling
and
out
more
in the
difficult
background.
to accomplish.
They
You
kind of
only
look
get
like
3
ghosts.
lives before it's
I
game
don't know,
over.
just
Luckily,
chilling out
the game
clouds.
offers
So
you
happy.
unlimited continues.
Happy little
As you
clouds.
can see, the
with
game
some
looks
happy little
just like the
trees.
first one. The music
Ross.
is exactly the same too, which led many gamers to criticize Super Mario Bros. 2 as a ROM hack, or an expansion pack of the first game. Regardless, Super Mario Bros. 2 went on to become the best-selling game on the Famicom Disk System, selling 2.5 million units.
Of course.
With the success,
If it
Nintendo
works,
made plans to release
don't
the
change
game
it.
in North America. They sent it across the Pacific Ocean for review.
And if it isn't broken, don't try to fix it. Just release the same shit over and over until people get bored of it. That's what Bethesda did.
Back in 1981, Nintendo of
Tom
America
Howard with
hired a
fucking
young,
Fallout.
enthusiastic red-haired man to help unbox, assemble,
Just release
and
the
even
same shit
deliver
over and
arcade
over.
games. His name was Howard Phillips. As new games were unboxed, Phillips would occasionally get a chance to play them. President Minoru Arakawa noticed the enthusiasm in his young warehouse employee and would often ask for Phillips' opinion on new titles. He saw value in a Western gamer's opinion.
Of course.
By 1985, Phillips was playing just about every new Nintendo product to see if it would be a good fit in North America. In the summer of 1986, Howard Phillips received a new assortment of games from Nintendo of Japan for review. Among the
sweet.
games was Super Mario Bros. 2.
Oh,
Phillips
Super
was
Mario Bros.
surprised.
2, yeah.
This was the sequel to the most popular game on the Nintendo Entertainment System, and he had received it without warning. He quickly booted the game up
I
to
bet
test
he
it
did.
out.
That was the
He
first
was
fucking game he
immediately
played.
killed by a poison mushroom in the first level. As Phillips played on, he became more and more astonished at the difficulty of the game.
As I continued to play, I found that Super Mario Bros. 2 asked me again and again to take a leap of faith, and that each of those leaps resulted in my immediate death. This was not a fun game to play. It was punishment. Undeserved punishment. I put down my controller astonished that Mr. Miyamoto had chosen to design such a painful game. Howard Phillips.
Wow.
Phillips went to Nintendo of America president Minoru Arakawa to share his thoughts. Arakawa silently nodded. Video games were still on the comeback trail in North America at the time.
Robot.
A difficult sequel to the extremely popular Super Mario Bros. Game could potentially turn off new players. Not only that, but visually, the game looked exactly like the original. Nintendo of America wanted to show off new gameplay and better graphics. The game would also have to be converted from a disk system game into a cartridge. By the time the game could be mass-produced, it would probably seem outdated. Releasing Super Mario Bros. 2 in North America would not be a wise marketing decision.
Yeah.
Arakawa
Makes
contacted
sense.
his father-in-law, Nintendo of Japan president Hiroshi Yamauchi, asking for a more accessible sequel. It seemed like an impossible task. The Nintendo R&D teams were overwhelmed with other projects. But a sequel was necessary. Nintendo's rival, Sega, was pushing their Alex Kidd character, and third-party Nintendo licensees began making up their own franchises. Nintendo risked having their flagship mascot fade into obscurity. The idea then came to rework an older title as a Mario game. But which game? Nintendo found their answer in the summer of 1987, when Research and Development 4 completed and released a new game on the Famicom Disk System. Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic.
Doki Doki Panic, really? Doki Doki Panic, really? Heart-pounding
In
panic.
April of 1986, a recent graduate of the Osaka University of Arts joined Miyamoto's R&D 4 team, Kensuke Tanabe. Miyamoto encouraged his team to be creative and come up with potential new ideas for games. Tanabe came up with a platforming game where players would progress through the level vertically rather than horizontally.
The idea was that you would have people vertically ascending, and you would have items and blocks so you could pile up to go higher, or you could grab your friend that you were playing with and throw them to try and continue to ascend.
Pocket, that little thing.
Unfortunately, the vertical scrolling gimmick wasn't enough to get us interesting gameplay. Kensuke Tanabe.
The technical limitations of the
I like its
NES
music.
made it difficult
That
to
Mario
program
music.
this type of gameplay, and playing it solo just wasn't very fun. The prototype was shelved. But Nintendo is a company known for recycling ideas. An opportunity for the prototype to be used came when the Fuji Television Company approached Nintendo about creating a game for
Really
their
catchy
upcoming
music.
summer festival, the Dream Factory. The Dream Factory took place between July and August of 1987 in Tokyo and Osaka. It was used to promote Fuji Television's latest shows and increase viewership. It was a huge celebration, with live concerts, TV specials, and costumed events. Fuji TV
Super
wanted
Mario
special products to
64.
coincide with the festival, and a collaboration with Nintendo would be huge. The Famicom was selling at a blistering rate. 1 in 4 households in Japan had the system. Kensuke Tanabe was put in charge of the project, and he met with Fuji Television officials to discuss the game. Executives handed Tanabe papers that contained drawings of Arabic-themed characters known as the Dream Factory family. They were the official mascots of the festival. Make a game with this, they said. Tanabe dug up his shelved prototype and went over the concept with his boss, Shigeru Miyamoto. Miyamoto made a few suggestions. Make something a little more Mario-like. An action game, he said. As long as it's fun, anything goes. Development was officially underway, and several veterans of the Mario franchise worked on the game. While Tanabe served as director, Miyamoto supervised the project. Koji Kondo, the composer for Super Mario Bros., would provide the soundtrack. Under Miyamoto's supervision, horizontal levels were added in addition to the vertical ones. The original prototype concept of picking things up became the core gameplay mechanic. Several Mario references were added as well. There were stars, PAL blocks,
Of course,
coins,
PAL blocks.
and warp zones. At one point, Miyamoto felt the game was too similar to Mario. On July 10th, 1987, Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic was released for the Famicom Disk System. Translated, the game is known as Dream Factory, Heart-Pounding Panic. The game begins with 2 children, named Pokey and Peaky, reading a storybook. Suddenly, an evil hand pulls them inside. Their small monkey, Rusa, runs off to get
small
help
monkey.
from the Dream Factory family, who enter the book to rescue the kids.
Christ, it's Cheetah Man
Doki
all over
Doki
again.
Panic lets you play as the
Action
4 members of the
52.
family.
Oh,
First,
Christ.
there is Imogen, a play on the word imagine. He's the most balanced character, with average jump, speed, and strength. Next is Lena, the sister. She can hover for a short period of time, but isn't very fast or strong. Mama has the ability to jump really high, but has
Oh, those
subpar speed and
snakes.
strength.
Oh, fuck
And
no.
finally, there is Papa, who is fast and strong, but isn't very good at jumping.
Mario Papa.
The core gameplay revolves around picking things up
Papa
to use
Mario.
as a weapon, usually a vegetable. Of course, not everything is a vegetable. Sometimes you'll pull up bombs, clocks that stop time, and magic lamps.
Oh,
When you
boy.
throw these lamps, they conjure up a door to another world, where you can potentially upgrade your health and gather coins. The coins allow you to play the bonus slot machine game at the end of each level to earn extra lives. If you jump on top of an enemy, you'll go for a ride, but you can also pick them up and throw them. There's also a variety of masks throughout the levels,
Yeah, the
all references to the Dream
damn
Factory
fucking
Festival.
faces follow
The
you.
game takes
I
place in a
remember that.
variety of locations such as deserts, grassy plateaus, caves, and dungeons. Thanks to the vertical gameplay, you'll be going up into the clouds as well. Doki Doki Panic has a very Arabic feel to it, which matches the characters. Because of their unique abilities, the game offers some strategy in how you want to approach each level. In order to see the true ending, you'll need to beat the game with all 4 characters.
Oh,
Luckily,
Christ.
Doki Doki Panic
Really?
has a save system, so you won't have to do it all in one sitting.
Oh, thank God.
Critically, the game was a success. The popular Japanese magazine Famitsu gave the game a score of 31 out of 40, calling it an action game that's a slight remix of Super Mario. When Nintendo of America requested a more accessible sequel to Super Mario Bros., Nintendo of Japan saw Doki Doki Panic as a potential answer.
Oh yeah,
It was
why
made
not?
by the
Like I
same
said,
team
if
that
it's not
worked on Super
broken,
Mario.
don't change
In
it.
fact,
Just use the
Miyamoto
same shit
approached
over and
development
over.
of Doki Doki Panic as if it were, quote, a
It works for
full-fledged
Bethesda.
new Mario.
They haven't changed their fucking
Graphically,
engine for
the game looked much better than
decades.
Super Mario Bros.
Fucking hell.
And the gameplay was different. While Fuji Television owned the Doki Doki Panic characters, Nintendo owned everything else. They could replace the Dream Factory characters with Mario characters, and release the game without any legal issues. The game was sent to Nintendo of America offices with a note. If you replace the 4 characters with Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad, will the American children be happy? Nintendo of America thought yes.
Oh yeah,
And
that's what you have
plans
to
were
do, just
underway
change the
to change
characters.
Doki Doki Panic into a Super Mario sequel for North America. Tanabe and his team went back to work. In 1988, Howard Phillips received a new package on his desk, this time containing a modified copy of Doki Doki Panic. He thought it was a lot of fun, and passed the news on to Mr. Arakawa. Nintendo went to work hyping up its release. Around the same time, the company was getting ready to launch its own paid magazine, known as Nintendo Power.
Nintendo
Gail
Power,
Tilden,
of course.
who was in
I
charge of the
remember this.
magazine, made the decision to feature
Nintendo
Super Mario
Power.
Bros. 2 on the cover, as well as include a large walkthrough on the first few levels. Will Vinton Studios, the same studio that designed the California Raisins Claymations, came up with the cover. They created a clay diorama of Super Mario Bros. 2, featuring
Pretty
Mario
badass.
and the main villain, Wart. In July of 1988, over 600,000 gamers across the continent received the very first issue of Nintendo Power free of charge. It was the first time gamers would discover they were getting a sequel to Super Mario Bros. Later that year, on October 10th, 1988, Super Mario Bros. 2 was officially released in North America.
Oh boy. Yeah, it works. Just use the same games over and over. Just change the characters, a bit of change
Super
here and
Mario
there,
Bros.
you
2
got it.
quickly became
got
the
a
hot
perfect game.
Christmas item that year. The game was somewhat hard to come by, thanks to the industry-wide chip shortage of 1988. It was so popular, in fact, that ABC's 2020 news program featured a segment with John Stossel trying to find a copy of the game.
Part 4, A Profound Effect.
So what are some of the differences between Doki Doki Panic and Super Mario Bros. 2?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Well,
of what's
overall, the games
difference.
are pretty much the same, but
Just
there
different
are a few
characters?
small differences.
No, okay.
The most obvious difference is that the characters have been changed.
Of course, the characters.
Imogen, the most balanced character, was changed to Mario. Lena, with her hovering abilities, was changed to Princess Toadstool, also known as Princess Peach. Mama, who could jump the highest, was changed to Luigi. And finally, Papa, who was fast and strong but couldn't jump well, was changed to Toad. The plot was changed as well. The opening cinematic was completely removed and replaced with some text, explaining that Mario had a dream about a strange world known as Subcon that was cursed by the evil Wart. After waking up,
evil
Mario
Wart.
and his friends have a picnic at a nearby mountain when they stumble upon a cave that leads to Subcon. It's up to the 4 heroes to save the day. The handy save feature from Doki Doki Panic was removed entirely, as the game was converted from a disc to a standard cartridge. Nintendo could have added a save battery, but instead decided to remove the requirement of beating the game with all 4 characters. In
Wise
Doki
decision.
Doki Panic, you could only
Very
change
wise
characters
decision.
between worlds. Each world consisted of 3 levels. With Super Mario Bros. 2, you now have the ability to change characters between each level. One welcomed change is the ability to run, which was surprisingly absent from Doki Doki Panic. Just like the original Super Mario Bros., you can now hold the B button to run in Mario 2, which makes some areas of the game much easier. Another change to make the game more Mario-like was shrinking. When you got hit in Doki Doki Panic, you simply lost a health bar. In Mario 2, if you get down to 1 health, you'll shrink down, similar to the first game. Nintendo also added a new boss known as Claw Grip to World 5, as the original Doki Doki Panic featured a more difficult battle with a white mouser enemy. Those are probably the biggest changes, but there are a few small audio and visual changes as well.
Maybe animation.
Some animations were improved, such as the grass, cherries, and waterfalls. Several items were replaced with items found in the Mario universe, like mushrooms and Koopa shells. The bonus slot machine game after each level was also given a visual upgrade. Overall, the two games are very similar, but Super Mario Bros. 2 does feel like the more polished version. Nintendo kept quiet about the conversion of Doki Doki Panic to Super Mario 2 for a few years. Several magazines at the time did mention it, but most gamers were unaware. The first official acknowledgement came in 1991.
I'm gonna be surprised if this video isn't copyrighted by fucking Nintendo.
Mentioned the Switch in a small blurb at the bottom.
It's gonna be a goddamn miracle if this video isn't gonna be copyrighted by Nintendo.
Nintendo released a compilation of Mario games on the Super Nintendo.
Super Mario All-Stars.
Super Mario All-Stars.
I've played this.
The game contained enhanced
yes, I actually played
the
this.
first 3 Super Mario games, as well as a game that
played
most
this 6
had
months
never
ago.
heard of. Super Mario: The Lost Levels. What
I think I
was
recorded
the Lost
my
Levels?
gameplay.
It was the Japanese Super Mario Bros. 2, the Famicom Disk System game that North America and Europe never saw. For many players, this was their first experience with the game. The realization that North American and European gamers never got the original Super Mario Bros. 2 led some players to consider their version an outlier, not a real Mario game. But Super Mario Bros. 2 had a profound effect on the series as a whole. It sold over 10 million copies worldwide, making it the third best-selling NES game of all time. Several characters that have become staples in the series first appeared in Super Mario 2, including Bob-ombs, Shy Guys, and Birdo. It was also the first time gamers could play as Toad and Princess Peach. The game also established uniformed looks for Mario and Luigi. Luigi was finally updated to stand out from his brother by being taller. Super Mario Bros. 2 proved to be so successful that in 1992, Nintendo re-released the game in Japan as Super Mario USA.
Jesus.
Ultimately, the decision to not bring the Japanese Super Mario Bros. 2 to North America and Europe was a good one. The difficulty and similarity to the first game just didn't make sense for the newly revived video game industry. If you want to play this game for yourself, you do have a few options. You can of course play it on Super Mario All-Stars, or as an unlockable bonus in Super Mario Bros. Deluxe for the Game Boy Color. However, these versions are slightly modified to make the game a little easier. So if you want the real deal original challenge, I suggest picking it up on the Wii or Wii U Virtual Console.
Also, it was
as
on
for
the
the
Wii.
Western Super Mario Bros. 2, I remember playing it as a kid and not really noticing how different it was. It just felt like a Mario game, and to know that it was developed by the Mario
I'm pretty sure
team,
it was released
well,
for the Wii.
that just makes sense. Unfortunately, we may never see a re-release of Doki Doki
I see what
Panic.
you did there.
Fuji Television holds
We
the
may
rights to the
never get it,
characters,
we.
so if you want to play this game,
I
you'll
see
have
what
to
you did
import
there.
it along with the Famicom Disk System. But really, I think you'll be just fine playing the Western Super Mario Bros. 2. It's a damn good game. That's all for this episode of Game and Historian. Thanks for watching.
It was a good video. And you've got this wonderful music to drive you insane at the very end of the video. How nice. Christ. Copyrighted by Nintendo. Yeah, this video is definitely getting copyrighted by Nintendo. Nintendo is the worst when it comes to copyright. They fucking copyright everything. You can't even play a Nintendo game and upload it without them bloody just copyright and everything. Yeah, that was the story of Super Mario Bros. 2, Gaming Historian. It was totally awesome, really enjoyed it. Very, very interesting to learn the history behind the game. Yeah, very fascinating indeed. I mean, like I said, and I keep saying, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. If it works, it works. Obviously, they sort of reused and rehashed a game that they already had. That's smart, that's how companies sort of survive. If it's a good idea, and then it can work. I mean, that's how Bethesda's still fucking alive. I mean, Jesus Christ, Bethesda's been using the same damn method and engine for God knows for how long. Christ, probably about 15 fucking years. Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. Like I said, I'm gonna keep saying it over and over, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. And I gotta emphasize that because I see a lot of people trying to keep changing it constantly. You don't need to change things if they're not broken. So just leave things alone if they're perfect and everybody loves it. And it's a selling point, if you're gonna sell something, a game or a game controller, and everyone likes it the way it is, don't try to change it. Yeah, it was very informative indeed. Yeah, if you like this video, make sure to give a like, comment down below, and make sure to subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.